Hello, it's Peter Rolland again, here to play some more tunes for you. Well, this is number five, session number five, the last of the recorded sessions for the Paul Rolland String Pedagogy Workshop 2021 edition, hosted by the University of Illinois, and thank you to all the folks that handled the technology to make this possible. So with this final session, I wanted to put in one place all a recording of all the tunes that I presented in a formal way earlier in sessions 1 through 4. There's a whole bunch of them. New Britain, Spotted Pony, Put Your Little Foot, and Animus Valley Waltz, and there's Lonesome Live Oak, Bluebird Schottish, French Mary, Mouth of the Tobique, Diving Six, Hobo Jig, and Tommy Don't Go. So, I guess in the reverse order, Tommy Don't Go and Hobo Jig. I will play them at a practice tempo, not too slow, certainly not too fast, just so that you have a recorded reference so that whenever you feel like working on these tunes, you can go ahead and play through the entire list with me, play along fashion. And that will hopefully give you some continuity with the material. It's how I do the power of unison when I get a bunch of tunes that I want to teach in a class with repeat, repeat, repeat. So after I do that, then I'm going to just go over some for fun tunes, depending on how much time is left. I have an hour for this session, so I kind of thought about what tunes are fun to learn, what tunes are fun to play and perform. And I've got 3 or 4 of them picked out for you, depending on time. And one tune that everybody knows by hearing, not everybody, I guess there are some people who don't know, but it's called Turkey in the Straw. Original name was Old Zip Coon, but it's got words and it's a good performance piece. Kids love it, adults love it. It depends on how you present it. If you make a good show of it, it always gets a lot of reaction from an audience. And another one that it would be on the favorite list of kids when I teach tunes to kids at schools or whatever. It's called Cluck Old Hen. And it incorporates, my version of it incorporates the sounds of chickens in the barnyard, which makes it a kind of a fun piece because kids are always fascinated by how you can evoke animal sounds out of the instrument, the fiddle, and they want to learn how to do it. So this is a fun component of this tune. And you know, if you put Turkey in the Straw together with Cluck Old Hen, you get, guess what? You get a medley. You could call it the fowl medley. I hear all the groaning. Okay. And then, if time allows, I'm going to take you off on a little short journey into cross tuning. Well, in classical music, it's called scordatura. It's where the strings are tuned non-standard. And I have in mind to show you an old Hobart Smith version of a very popular but simple tune in its simple skeleton format, Cripple Creek, one that's often played and taught by fiddle teachers and probably has entered into the repertoire of play-along folk songs. But when you hear this cross-tuned, you'll know you're in a different land. You're not in Kansas anymore. And finally, if time allows, I rather suspect it won't, I'm going to show you a fiddling version of Bonaparte's Retreat, which has been imported into the classical repertoire by Aaron Copland into his composition called Rodeo. but it's where you get to hear the bagpipes coming out of the fiddle. That makes it a fun thing, and also kind of a jaw-dropping situation. How does he do that? Okay, but first, and most importantly, we're just going to have a playthrough session of the tunes I presented in sessions 1 through 4. Grab your instrument. Here we go. No stragglers. Starting with New Britain. New Britain is the melody for Amazing Grace. And it is not Amazing Grace, but it is the melody for Amazing Grace. And I'm going to play you Les Keith version that I showed you how to do, the one where you have to slide your fingers around and you got to put a whang into the music, because it's all about that whang. And this will be something that you can use for your own personal growth, or if you want to play it for other people, it's killer, as they say. In the key of G. All right. Amazing Grace, or the proper name of the instrumental, New Britain. Now, Spotted Ponies also goes by the name Snowshoes. And the lesson here was rocking the bow and the shuffle stroke. Let's review the shuffle stroke separately. If we want to play in the key of A shuffle stroke pattern, it sounds like this. And you would count it 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And it has an accent on the 3, not on the downbeat, but on the offbeat. And you'll hear fiddlers kick off tunes using the shuffle stroke on a chord belonging to the key. For example, the key of A might start off this way. And if it was a fast breakdown. If you're in the key of D, you might go. Now notice, I want to make a very strong distinction. That is not accenting the downbeat. You merely accent the offbeat, and you don't do it by a bow yank, but you do it by a little extra pressure on the stick. We don't do, which is what classical musicians tend to do because of their training. It's on the offbeat. Goal is to create a rhythmic pulse. In this tune, Spotted Pony, there is what we call a rocking of the bow from the low string to the high string and incorporating the shuffle stroke into it. If you don't change the bow angle, but instead bow on both strings at the same time, but do exactly the same thing, that would sound like. But if you rock the bow to pick out the D string note and the A string note separately, it sounds like rocking the bow. Not only does it sound like it, it is rocking the bow. And that is how Spotted Pony starts. Now let's play it all together. Starting on the open D string. Alright, Spotted Pony. Next, put your little foot. Even if you have a big foot, put your little foot. Okay, it's a tune that is associated with a dance called the Varsuvienne. And I'll teach you the basic melody. I taught you the basic melody, and I also showed you how to add some chords to it. In the transcription, it's written in 9/8 time to lay bare the rhythmic divisions a little more clearly, but it's really should be thought of as in 3/4 time. It starts on the open D. It's in the key of G. It sounds like this. Repeat it. D part. Okay, the ending isn't part of the song, but it's not even what I wrote in the transcription. But it's the one that I've showed you for other tunes, and they're interchangeable, really. All right, now those tunes that I just showed you now, they're all from the Power of Unison article that I wrote for the American String Teachers, and I provided sound files, which long expired, because this was a centennial edition, 2011, the 100th year of my father, Paul Rolland's birth. And this next tune and the next three tunes are from the repertoire of Jesse Cox, New Mexico fiddler. Very interesting tunes. I had to do a lot of deciphering because he was very elderly and his hands were all wrecked up from arthritis and from years of construction work, bricklaying, carpentry, etc., etc. And he was also a bootlegger, as I told the stories, if you want to look into session number 2. Told you a little bit about that, and there's a handout which describes a little bit of it too. So, Animas Valley, one of the prettiest little tunes, so simple, wonderful for harmonization. And in fact, I will tell you, when I recorded it for my Fiddleology CD, I got into a zone and I lost track of how many times I played it. I must have played it on the record about 6 or 7 times, just way too long. But, you know, good tunes do that. You play them over and over again, and you sort of can lose track of where you're at. Your mind just gets transported into another musical dimension. And that can happen with this tune. Very, very simple. The chords are I suggest you obey the chords. In accompaniment, it makes a lot of difference. It's not the simple, straightforward chording, but it's a descending bass line, almost down the scale from A down to low A in the bass line. And when I go through it the second time, I will probably try to suggest some of those chords with the double stops. But first, just the basic simple melody. 1, 2, 3. the Animas Valley Waltz. Now that's a Jesse Cox original composition, named after the Animas Valley, which is a town he lived in for part of his life. Here is a tune he played at our sessions called Lonesome Live Oak, a rather rare tune, but also it goes by the name Dogie Waltz. Depends on who you talk to, I guess. And again, it's in 3/4 time, in the key of A. Okay, the next tune coming up after a slight pause will be Bluebird Schottish. Okay, we're going to do Bluebird Schottish, a very, very rare tune that Jesse played for me. Actually, I said taught me, but it took a lot of deciphering and detective work on my part to figure it out, because his playing was so rough by the time I got to him. Hands were all wrecked up, and he had enthusiasm and a twinkle in his eye, but he couldn't master the movements anymore. But the tune's great, and it's fun to play because it's full of unusual slidey movements on the left hand. Key of C, Bluebird Schottish. It's a 6/8 time, kind of like a slow horn pipe. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bluebird Schottish. Okay, now I'm going to play Clarence Langan tunes. French Mary, Mouth of the Tobique, and Diving Six. French Mary, as you will recall, is a tune that got mixed up the title by Don Messer, the famous TV fiddler, Canadian TV fiddler Don Messer and his Royal and his Islanders that played all across Canada on the Canadian Broadcasting Network. Got a hold of Francis Soish's tunes. Francis was a student of Clarence's aunt, and these tunes are New Brunswick tunes. So the titles got mixed up in the book. People might say, hey, no, that's Mouth of the Tobique. No, that's really French Mary. So the first tune I'm going to play is French Mary, despite what anybody else says. And the next one will be Mouth of the Tobique, despite what anybody says. Although the next one will also go by a different title, which is the one that's better known by here in America, the Grumbling Old Woman, Growling Old Man. But right now, French Mary. And it's in the key of G, starts with a run up from a D to a G. And we'll see where it goes from there. I think you know it, even if you don't know that you know it. Not too fast, though. We'll take it at a moderate tempo rather than full tempo. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. The ending is not in the transcription, but it's how Clarence played it. Okay, and finally, the real Mouth of the Tobique, better known here in the States as Grumbling Old Woman, Growling Old Man. My beginning and my ending, and I usually stage it playing it slow and faster and faster and faster. Sometimes we kid around with an audience who's listening to it and say, well, the first time we're going to play it slow, and then we're going to play it fast. And then the next time after that is going to be faster, and then after that it's going to be as fast as possible. And then the next time will be faster. But that's not going to be how it's going to be now. We're just going to get through it so you can gain familiarity with it. Here's the beginning. Three times. One more. Okay, Mouth of the Toe Beak. And finally, the delightful Diving Six, the tune with the wrong name. As I said in the session that I taught it at, Clarence and the companions of his that fiddled in his neighborhood didn't know the correct name for it, so they made one up and they called it the Diving Six. So it's an older tune than when Clarence had it, and it's of unknown name and origin, but it comes out of New Brunswick. In the key of G, 6/8 time. 1, 2, 3. Now, and these tunes, many of them, the tempos are written in the transcription, so you can get an idea as to the actual tempo that it might be played at. Not in all of them, some of them though. Okay, and finally we come to tunes by the two tunes that I taught by Hiram Brakefield. They are not his original tunes, but tunes that I learned from him, and I learned many of them. He recorded well over 126 tunes, 125 tunes. More, I don't remember the exact count. But Tommy Don't Go, a lot of people's favorite. And an old tune with a song associated, but unfortunately I only know some of the words. Tommy Don't Go, Tommy Don't Go, I'll hug you and I'll kiss you, Tommy Don't Go. In the key of G in waltz time. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Great little tune. And finally, Hiram Brakefield's favorite of some of us, Hobo Jig. A jolly little tune. Played by hobos, who always carry fiddles in their gunny sack. Not. Key of G, 6/8 time. Here you go. And there you have it. that's all the tunes that I taught um, in the first 4 fiddle sessions. Now there's plenty of time for me to branch out and teach you some other fun stuff without music. No, I'm not going to supply any transcriptions for it. You'll have to take all that you've gleaned from and apply your newfound ear skills, playing by ear skills, to work it up. Now, I just wanted to do a couple fun things, pieces that are fun to play as well as fun for audiences. And the kids, the youthful kids, like it, but I found the adults like it too. The first one, Turkey in the Straw, of course, it's a very, very old tune. And it came to this country from across the pond, and the British islands, Great Britain, it was called Old Zip Coon. Excuse me. Old Zip Coon. And after it migrated across the pond, it got renamed Turkey in the Straw. Turkey in the Straw. Maybe because there's a lot of wild turkeys here. There's still a lot of wild turkey here, although some of it's found on your grocer's shelf in the liquor department. I guess. I've been told. I don't drink so. Now, I'm going to present it to you just the way I do as an entertainer. I get people to sing along, and this is a fun way to do it, especially whether you're teaching kids or whether you're playing for adults or a mixed group. You get them to sing along, and you tell them, okay, we're going to play Turkey in the Straw, and you got to sing along, and when you hear me say Turkey in the Straw, your job is to go ha ha ha. And when you hear me say turkey in the hay, you go hey hey hey. Now, think you can do that? And they say, okay. And so you practice them on it. Turkey on the straw. Turkey in the straw. Ha ha ha. Turkey in the hay. Hey hey hey. And then you all do this together. Kick him in the pants. Sock him in the jaw. And do a little dance called Turkey in the Straw. That's some of the lyrics. There are others that are sung to that particular moment after Turkey in the Straw, ha ha ha, Turkey in the hay, hey, hey, hey. There's a proper lyric that goes, roll 'em up, twist 'em up, high tuck a haw, and do a little dance called Turkey in the Straw. Now, I never got much traction out of roll 'em up, twist 'em up, high tuck a haw. So I just do it. Kick him in the pants, sock him in the jaw, do a little dance called Turkey in the Straw. That seems to tickle people's funny bones a little bit. But you got to be sure that when you demonstrate, and I can't do it here because of my position, but when you demonstrate kick him in the pants, you remind them you can kick your foot out, but advise them if they're seated not to kick the person in front of them. Okay. So, I invariably play it along with another tune, Chicken Reel, but I'm going to forego that for now. And I'm going to sing you the lyrics. Now, I'm going to tell you the lyrics now because you may want to write them down. They're very traditional. And there are many, many, many verses to this, and they're all nonsense. And like so many of the old-time tunes, some of the verses that are written are just gibberish. Some of them are political rants. There's a whole wide variety of it. The ones that I have incorporated into my performances is, I had a little chicken and she wouldn't lay an egg, so I poured hot water up and down her leg. The little chicken cackled and the little chicken begged, and the dad-burned thing laid a hard-boiled egg. Turkey in the straw, ha ha ha. turkey in the hay, hey, hey, hey. Kick him in the pants and sock him in the jaw and do a little dance called Turkey in the Straw. And then I play the tune, and then the next verse. I came to a river and I couldn't get across. I paid a man for an old blind horse. He wouldn't go forward and he wouldn't stand still, just went up and down like an old sawmill. Turkey in the straw, ha, ha, ha. Turkey in the hay, hey, hey, hey. Kick him in the pants, sock him in the jaw, and do a little dance called Turkey in the Straw. Wait, there's more. Old Farmer Brown, he had an awful scare. He got chased by an old grizzly bear. Folks all thought he'd lost his mind to run 10 miles with a bear behind. Turkey in the straw, turkey in, ha, 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 turkey in the hay, hey, hey, hey. Kick him in the pants, sock him in the jaw, and do a little dance called Turkey in the Straw. And the last one that I do is I went out for a walk around the block. I walked right into a bakery shop. I fished a donut out of the grease, and I handed the lady my 5-cent piece. She looked at the nickel, and she looked at me, and she said, "This nickel's no good. See, there's a hole in the nickel. It's all the way through." I said, "Lady, there's a hole in the donut, too." Turkey in the straw, ha, ha, ha. Turkey in the hay, hey, hey, hey. Kick him in the pants, sock him in the jaw, and do a little dance called Turkey in the Straw. And I use this little rhythmic device in between, kind of as a punctuation. So here's what it sounds like. And you know, Turkey in the Straw, you can get that anywhere. It's one of the most universal tunes. Of course, you're not going to get it the Doc Rolland style, the notes. You'd have to fool with it to get that. But to be honest with you, the way I play it's not that different than a lot of people. But I just put my own whang into it. Well, I had a little chicken and she wouldn't lay an egg. I poured hot water up and down her leg. The little chicken cackled and the little chicken begged, and the dad-burned thing laid a hard-boiled egg. Turkey in the straw, ha, ha, ha. Turkey in the hay, hey, hey, hey. Kick him in the pants and sock him in the jaw, and do a little dance called Turkey in the Straw. Well, I came to a river and I couldn't get across. I paid a man for an old blind horse. He wouldn't go forward and he wouldn't stand still, just went up and down like an old sawmill. Turkey in the straw, ha, ha, ha. Turkey in the hay, hey, hey, hey. Kick him in the pants and sock him in the jaw, and do a little dance called Turkey in the Straw. Well, old Farmer Brown had an awful awful scare. He got chased by an old grizzly bear, and folks all thought he lost his mind to run 10 miles with a bear behind. Turkey in the straw, ha ha ha, turkey in the hay, hey hey hey, kick him in the pants and sock him in the jaw, and turn a little dance called Turkey in the Straw. Well, I went out for a walk around the block. I walked right into a bakery shop. I fished a donut out of the grease. I handed the lady my 5-cent piece. She looked at the nickel and she looked at me and she said, "This nickel's no good. See, there's a hole in the and it's all the way through." I said, "Lady, there's a hole in the donut too." Turkey in the straw, ha ha ha, turkey in the hay, hey hey hey, kick him in the pants and sock him in the jaw, do a little dance called Turkey in the Straw. So there's Turkey in the Straw in an entertainment format. And you may be wondering what I was doing to accompany myself on the violin. It's very difficult to play the violin and sing at the same time. And it takes a little practice, because it seems to me that the same muscles and the same part of the brain that deal with controlling the movements, also tend to control the movements of your jaw. So it's kind of hard to multitask that way, and it does take some practice. So it helps with these simple chord tunes to know some standard patterns. So this is the key. I'm going to show you that right now. This is a key of G. So if I go, I had a little chicken, and she, let me do it this way so you can see the chords. I had a little chicken, and so all there, that's a G chord, a third finger on the D string, first finger on the A string. Now you got to go to a D chord. Da da da. That's a second finger on the D and a third finger on the A. So you're going from a G chord to a D chord, and back to the G chord. Now that's a simple way to do it. Another way, hold it this way so you can, is to take advantage of a moving bass line. So you're playing on the D string, 3, 2, 1, open. Meanwhile, you're holding the first finger down on the A string, so together it's well, I had a little chicken that you wouldn't lay an egg, like that. That's doable. So 2-chord songs is very manageable. And you can use, I used the middle strings there for accompaniment. I could have used the low strings. Well, I had a little chicken that she wouldn't lay an egg, so I poured hot water down her leg. And there you can go from this version of a G chord, a 6, second finger on the G, third finger on the D, and then for the G chord, and then for the D chord or the D7 chord, you can just put your third finger, just slide it right over to the G string, and then slide your second finger from the G string to the D string. and that's a G, D shift. G, and then switch positions. 2, 3, 3, 2. See that? 2, 3, 3, 2. If you're mathematically inclined, you can say, oh, that's just 23 to 32. Or you can go 30. Well, I had a little chicken and she wouldn't lay an egg, so I poured hot water up and down her leg. The little chicken cackled and the little chicken begged, and the third thing laid a hard-boiled egg. So there's a variety of devices. It took me a while to develop it, but there are a few entertainers who are very skilled at this. And I won't mention them by name because you know who you are. But there are some who are much better at it than I. I have to practice what I'm going to do before I do it. At any rate, Turkey in a Straw, just loads of fun. And I guess I'm only going to have time to do one more. I'm not going to get into cross-tune fiddling, except maybe to possibly touch on it. But I do want to play for you Cluck Old Hen. Now, that's an Appalachian modal tune. It's got words and lyrics, and it's hypnotizing. It can be hypnotizing. In fact, at the National Old Time Fiddlers Contest up in Weiser, Idaho, many, many years ago, around 2000, 2001, I went on a walk back in the camping area that they call Stickerville. It's across the street from the high school where the festival is held. And I wandered into a campsite of a banjo player and a fiddle player. They were playing clawhammer banjo and old-time fiddle, and they were grooving on this tune, Cluck Old Hen. And they grooved on that thing for 25 minutes. In fact, I don't really know how long. They kept playing it. They didn't stop. They were in a trance, a playing trance. I got tired and I left. And they were still playing it. And so some of these old-time tunes, they kind of like earworms. Once they get in, you can't get rid of them. So the basic Cluck Old Hen tune is this. If you wanted to simplify it, Cluck old hen, my fine hen, she lays eggs for gentlemen. Sometimes one, sometimes two. Oh, I'm mixing up verses, sorry. So that is the A part, the simple A part, and also the faster version. And the B part of the tune is, the simple version is, Cluck old hen, cluck and sway, she lays eggs most every old day. Cackle when it's hot and cackle when it's not. Cackle when you put her in the cooking pot. That's the modal tune, Cluck Old Hen. And the simple version that kids might play, repeat. But then if you fill in the in-between notes with fiddle, running fiddle notes, eighth notes, it would be more like this. Now, I never did understand. Well, it's called Cluck O' Hen. Where's the clucking part? And then I ran into another tune that had the clucking part where you're imitating the sound of the chicken. And this is what makes it so entertaining. So I merged the two, and here is the essential clucking part where you make the fiddle sound like a chicken. And this is what I would emphasize to you, because I don't think you're going to get this anywhere from other people, but it's just so entertaining. And the kids just love it. It makes this their favorite tune, to make it sound like a chicken. So here's what it sounds like. And that would be an interlude, a refrain that you could put in there whenever you feel like it. And basically, it's just the sound of a chicken. Buck, 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 buck. That Doc Rolland, he starts raving crazy. He finishes off his fiddle sessions with sounding like a chicken. Well, it's the least I could do is give back to the chickens. I've eaten so many of them. Let me put it together with, there's some. Let me tell you the other verses that I know and sing. Cluck old hen, my fine hen, she lays eggs for the railroad men. Sometimes one, sometimes two, and now you got a curse. Sometimes enough for the whole dang crew. Except I think some of the people just don't bother to. They spell it the other word, the whole dang crew, but you know what I'm talking about. So cluck old hen, my fine hen, she lays eggs for railroad men. Sometimes one, sometimes two, sometimes enough for the whole dang crew. Cluck old hen, cluck and sway, she lays eggs most every old day. Cackle when it's hot, cackle when it's not, cackle when you put her in the cooking pot. That's the first verse and chorus. Second one. Cluck old hen, my fine hen, she lays eggs for gentlemen. Sometimes 3, sometimes 4. She lays eggs till she can't lay no more. Cluck old hen, cluck and sway, she lays eggs most every old day. Cackle when it's hot and cackle when it's not, cackle when you put her in the cooking pot. Those are the two ones that you'll probably find in publications if you search on the internet. I sing a few more, but I think that's good enough. And I don't want to create any political arguments or religious arguments, so I'll just skip the other verses that I do. Well, that's a lot of fun. And you know what? I've given you enough, so you've got some interesting elements. The main thing, if you want to just teach them how to do this, you start with an up bow and you do it right near the frog, and you just get that scratchy sound. Don't worry about producing a tone. And then to get the pa-pawk, you got to go up, down, up on the E string, open, and a slidey second finger. So it's not on the downbeat, it's on the offbeat. So here's the downbeat. Boom. 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 Now this, that's what we call a ghost note. It's almost not there. And if you don't like the high one, maybe you, instead of the soprano chicken, you can do an alto chicken. Now there are, of course, a whole host of animal sounds that can be used on the violin, and there's tunes that use them. And there's the mule. that I demonstrated the very first session. There's horses, there's crows, mockingbirds. Oh, there's a whole host of them. I won't go into that because I don't have time, frankly. It's been fun teaching you.
Next year.
But maybe next year, who knows? Maybe I'll get to show them to you in person. Or something else. I will finish off with a topic that you may or may not have heard of, but it is definitely a fiddle thing, but it's also a violin thing. And this is called cross tuning. I don't usually take time during performance to retune my instrument. I do that in advance and take several fiddles, one for each tuning. Now this particular tuning I'm used here, I have my D. I'm sorry, this is that's a G. Usually one of the most popular cross tuning is in the A, E, A, E. So the G string would be tuned up a whole step to an A. The D string would be tuned up a whole step to an E. And the A and the E would be left. The A string and E string would be left the way they are. Now, that's the more popular way to do it, and I don't recommend it if you don't have steel strings. It does stretch your strings out. If you have nylon core strings or gut strings, it will tend to stretch them out and it will shorten the lifespan of your strings. Tuning down won't hurt them. And so that's why I recommend, if you're going to have fun messing around with that tuning, do it G, D, G, D instead of A, E, A, E. It's everything down a whole step. So the G and D strings, they're left the same. That's a G. Same as this is a G. But here it goes to an A. But when you've retuned it, it's not an A, but a whole step down. And then the E string is tuned down to a D. So it's G, D, G, D. There are tons and tons of fiddle tunes that use this tuning, or the A, E, A, E, either one of them, produces the same effect. And what advantage? Number one, it gets you all this resonance coming out of the violin. It just rings out because of the open strings just ringing. It also allows you to express a melody in a higher octave range and then do the same thing with the same fingering on the lower strings. I'm just going to demonstrate real quickly with a Hobart Smith version of a tune called Cripple Creek. And that is such a basic tune that it's widely used. You'll find it in method books and lots of... where the origin of the name Cripple Creek, I think it's attributed by some to a creek back in the Appalachian Mountains. Of course, those of us out west, we can claim Cripple Creek, Colorado as the source of the tune. What it is really, I don't know, but here's how you would play it, the simple version of Cripple Creek. I would teach beginning kids. In the key of A, I would do it in the key of A, and it'd be like this. If you're going to play it, more of a bluegrassy version of it, you'd just be playing a lot more notes. You'd be filling out replacing all those quarter notes with eighth notes. And now listen to this played cross tune. Now, it's going to come out in the key of G, which is actually the favorite key for banjo players for this tune. So this is a good version for jamming with banjo players who like to play the tune in the key of G. And as I said, I learned this off a record by the contributing fiddler in this compilation record was Hobart Smith. Completely different feel, completely different sound. It can be very rhythmic, and it's very, very popular style of playing in southeastern part of the United States. And you'd be surprised perhaps to know that retuning your instrument was a popular, well, I don't want to say popular because I wasn't there, but it was not unknown to classical violinists going back a couple of centuries. Paganini did it. And there it's called scordatura, and notating it is a little bit tricky, but it is a very widely used folk music thing to do, to tune your fiddle in different ways, and you tune it in order to produce the maximum desired result for a particular tune, to get a certain kind of a resonance. Recently I had a recording session, and it was in a key where to play it in the given key, in the standard position, I just was unable to get the right resonance and ringing that I wanted. So I just invented a tuning specifically for that tune that would bring out the ringing and resonance of that particular key, which happened to be the key of B. So that's something to experiment with. However, don't stretch those strings up too high, and don't teach this to kids. They'll break strings. They'll break strings if until they're well secured in the basics. And of course, in a school setting, it wouldn't work, but it's a lot of fun. And if you look up cross tuning in the internet or YouTube, you'll probably find tons of examples that'll thrill you. Well, listen, it's been fun teaching these tunes, sharing them. As I said in the very beginning, a lot of this music that I presented to you was music that became available to me through grants from the National Endowment for the Arts and Arizona Commission on the Arts, as I went around and collected repertoires and tunes from elderly fiddlers in Arizona. And I'm glad I got a chance to expose you to them. Fiddle on, have fun, and thank you for coming to the Paul Rolland String Pedagogy Workshop 2021 Virtual Edition, and it's hosted by the University of Illinois. Don't forget all the stuff that I've given you. The handouts are available on the site provided by the university, and feel free to access it for as long as you're able. I believe this music will be available and these recordings available for 2 weeks after the end of the workshop. So thank you for coming. Have a great afternoon, evening, or morning, whichever the case is for you. And I'll see you down the road sometime. Okay? Bye-bye, everybody.